It is finally cold in Texas. Finally. Hey, what's up everyone? I know I've been missing for a while. I've been super busy doing a million things. I was taking an exam, I was having a baby, well, my wife was having a baby, we were preparing for school, a bunch of million other things that have been happening in my life. And because of that, I'm gonna put together this little video. It's super easy to make, it's After Effects, and I don't know if you need to use this, but it's good to know, just in case. It's kind of the foundation for many other things. So let's go. And we're gonna open a new composition, give it a name. In my case, I'm gonna name it Swing. I'm gonna keep it 1920 by 1080. And then I'm gonna keep it at 24 frames per second and a 5 second. You can change these parameters depending on what you need. It's just, let's say this is the credits for a director or an opening scene. And this light gray color will be enough for me. You can just change it by clicking it there. Feel free to choose the color that you need. And I'm gonna click OK. This is our composition. The first thing I'm gonna do is add a text. In my case, I'm gonna add my name, which is gonna be Brian, and I'm gonna change a couple of things about that text. First of all, I'm gonna try to bring it to the center, and I'm gonna align with the center, which is right here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the size of that. Right now it's 39 points. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, probably 130 points, 130 points. That sounds about right. The following thing is we're gonna press the letter Y on your keyboard, and you see this anchor point in here. You can also access it by clicking here. We're gonna move it all the way to the top, and that will allow us to get the swinging movement in here. What we're gonna do here is add a couple of keyframes. And the way to do that, the first thing we need to do is create a 3D object. If you see the selection tool in here, this one is called a 3D layer. We're gonna select on the layer, go to your pointer, select on the layer, and then we're gonna make it a 3D object. What this allows us to do is have a Y, Z, and X axes. If you open the transform menu, you're gonna see that these elements have been added to your transformation menu for this transform menu. To create a keyframe, you're gonna hit this clock here on the side. We're gonna focus on the X axis right now. We're gonna click the first one, and we're gonna bring that one all the way to 90. You can just type it in if you want. Why 90? Because we're gonna make it parallel with the ground, so it's gonna disappear, or the illusion will disappear, and move it a couple more frames. And then we're gonna bring that, just scroll it to the other side. We're gonna bring it to the negatives. We're gonna bring it probably 76 or 77, a couple more frames. It could be random, don't worry about it. We're gonna bring it to the positives, and we're gonna scroll it down to probably the 50s or 60s, 59. We're gonna bring it to the negative side again. The more of this keyframes that you add, the more realistic the movement is going to be. It's going to be on the 40s. I'm going to go to the positives again, and what I'm doing is I'm going to bring it a little bit less every single time. 35, a little bit closer. That's going to be on the negatives. I'm going to be on the 20s, probably 21, positive, let's say 12, negative. I'm going to go back to the minus 6. Let's bring it to probably positive 2 or 3, positive 3, and then the last one is going to be 0. Just click on that on that number 3, and then in your keyboard 0, and then enter, and that creates all the frames. Let me render everything for you. That's it. That's all you need to know about this tutorial. Well, I'm kind of teasing you a little bit. We're gonna right click on the first keyframe, and we're gonna open a menu called Keyframe Assistant. If you have your keyboard, you can also press like Shift F9, and you're gonna ease in. We're gonna do the exact same thing to the last one. Keyframe Assistant and ease in, or Shift F9. What it will do is add a little bit of realism to the movement. And that's all you need to know. The next step is just duplicating. Simple as that. I'm gonna add a little bit of motion blur right here. This motion blur will make it look a little bit more real, and I'm gonna render a little bit more. You see that motion blur? It looks just a little bit prettier. Let me close this menu. And to duplicate, just go to Command D. Then you have 2 layers. I'm gonna drag while holding the Shift key, and that will help me like drag straight. I'm gonna change the parameters, double click on the text, and I'm gonna write into the text. And now it says Brian Ryder. Wow, that's the name of my channel. We're gonna go back to the first layer, gonna be selected here, go to your selection tool. We're gonna open the transform. You can press S for scale or just open the transform menu. And we're gonna change the scale for the top a little bit. So I want it to be around there. And we're gonna render everything to see how it looks. It looks great. It's just that everything is in the same plane. So let's change that. If you wanna see your keyframes, what you can do is press the letter U, select both layers, press the letter U a couple of times and they appear. And then you see all the keyframes. They're doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. What you're gonna do right now is hold the shift key on your keyboard and go over all your keyframes. And then what you're gonna do is move them a little bit to the right. And we're gonna randomize them. We're gonna randomize the movement a little bit. Just move it a couple frames so it looks a little bit less stiff. Let me see, I'm gonna render one time. And that looks a little bit better for me. Couple more things we can do is we can make it a 3D text or give the illusion of perspective. How do we do that? By messing around with the settings of this. Select both layers, go one layer, hold the shift key, go to the second layer. We're gonna hover over the text after selecting both layers and we're gonna move it to the right a little bit or to the left. You can choose whatever side works best for you. I'm gonna change it about 26 degrees and I'm gonna render this to see how it looks. So it gives the idea that it's coming from the side, almost like those great movies. I'm gonna close all the menus and I'm gonna make it a little bit more interesting. How do I do that? By adding more elements to that. I'm gonna create a new layer. And this is outside of the scope of this tutorial, but I just want you to have an idea of what you can do with this. I'm gonna have a directed by title and I'm gonna change a couple of settings in here. I'm gonna change this text to probably 39. I'm gonna go to the pointer, I'm gonna bring it around here, and I'm gonna change the spacing. I don't want it to be so big. Let's render one more time. That is beautiful. Couple more things. For example, we can make this directed by text come in super early. The animation starts around here, so I'm gonna make directed by text in here. I'm gonna open this menu, open the transform menu, click in a position, go back in time, get it directed by, shift to the top. I'm gonna make a little bit of smoothing animation to that, right click into both, keyframe assistant, easy ease, render everything, pa-dam. Well, and that was it. If you guys like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. See you guys in the next one. Oop, I have to change the diaper. See you guys, bye.